Welcome back to Real Boring Flips. I'm Kevin, and we're going to go through what sold in the first half of the month of May. We're splitting this up because we had 50 sales on our main site, and then we had another several sales on our secondary site. And I had a lot to talk about in the for some of these items, so I wanted to break this up into two. And so we'll cover about the first half of the month. And for the total month, we had 50 sales on our main site for a little over $5,500. And then after shipping, that came out to about $4,700. And then on the secondary site, we had four sales for the month, and then about $250 after shipping. So doing well since we got back from our trip. I was curious what it was going to take to kind of get rolling again. Now we're in June, we're in the June swoon right now, and so sales have really taken a dive. But May was great. We're going to jump over next door here in a few minutes and go over everything we sold in the first half, and then we'll come back here and finish up the video. In the first half of the month, we had 23 sales on our main site. So we're going to hit those 23 and then a few on the secondary site. And then we'll save the rest of May for a second video, maybe next week or the week after. But really great stuff. Kind of, if you're new to the channel, one of our main kind of deals with this is we started the idea of doing reselling as an actual business about 5 years ago. So it was in the beginning of the pandemic, really. And I knew I was going to retire in 5 years. I retired at the end of November last year. And so we spent the next 5 years kind of planning, trying different things, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work, refining as much as we could along the way, learning as much as we could along the way, watching tons of YouTube videos as well. And we weren't fresh new to reselling. I had been selling periodically on eBay for 27 years now. But I would only do it occasionally, and I would only do it for certain reasons. And this was a real test to see what we could do, and could we make this work? Could it benefit our family? So now that I'm full-time retired, I don't know how I had time to work in the first place. We have so much stuff going on with our family, and so the goal was never to replace that full-time job with this new full-time reseller job. We just wanted to have the option to do as much as we wanted or as little as we wanted. We took an entire month off for this trip that we took earlier this year. And so trying to balance, how all that affects not only eBay, but now YouTube as well. So we're constantly evaluating, constantly looking at, did this work, what didn't work, how do we change things? So we're still working on both of those things. So we're going to jump over there in a minute, but I know you didn't come here for all that discussion. You came here to find out, what is Kevin enjoying today? And I got a real amazing thing to enjoy. This is a tap and sip drinking coconut. Now I've already kind of prepped it. I did step one, I removed the straw. And so step two is actually going to be, we're going to tilt this over, I'm going to pound this on the table, and then I'm going to peel this label off, I'm going to stick the straw in there, and we're going to see if this worked. Hopefully it doesn't explode all over my table, all over my stuff I've got piled up here. But we're going to give this a shot and see how it goes. Now, we were in Tahiti and Hawaii for several weeks. I had maybe two pieces of raw coconut and some coconut water. I was sorely missing that. I'm not sure why we didn't get any more of that, but we're going to go ahead and give this a shot. So hang on. Actually, see if I can. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this. Okay. So we've completed step two. We're going to peel for step three. And then we're going to, I guess the straw has a certain way it goes in. Okay. So let's see. Okay, it's in. Here we go. I'm getting some, but It's like having a Frosty at Wendy's. Okay, that's better. Very enjoyable. We got these at Costco, amazingly. I had never seen them there before. It comes in a 3-pack. I think these were about $10 maybe. So we're going to enjoy this one, and then I got 2 more to enjoy later on. Okay, head on over and then come back when you're done.
Well, the first sale from the month of May did not end well. It was this Oster hand mixer. Now, I got this at Goodwill on a Monday, so I paid $2 for it. It seemed to work, seemed to be nice enough. I knew it didn't have all of the beaters, but I clearly stated that in the listing and showed it. The one thing I didn't recognize is that the cord rewind, because this cord will rewind into the body of the hand mixer. It wasn't really rewinding, and so I had a buyer pay full price of $13 or $12.88 for the bookkeeper. And when they got it, they said, first off, they said it didn't have all the beaters. So I had to explain to them that this was a used item bought on eBay, not a brand new item bought in Walmart. But they also mentioned the cord not working. So instead of having them ship it back to me, which is what I normally require for any kind of refunds, I went ahead and I just refunded them $10. Now they paid $12.88, plus they paid another $12.70 for shipping. I think I was able to actually ship this for about $10. So by sending them the $10 refund, they were super happy with that, and I got out of having to pay to ship it back to myself. The next item up, this is actually the second one of these that I sold recently. These must be the best of the Mr. Coffee iced tea pitchers to sell as replacement parts. I have a bunch of other ones listed, and I have just not sold the other series. But these ones seem to sell well. I got this one for $2. It had the same weird defect as the first one I sold. So when I got this second one and noticed it, I just relisted my original item. I didn't even take a new picture, and it sold pretty quickly. The defect is this has a little kind of hook in the base that's supposed to hook into the tea maker, I guess, to keep the pitcher from moving around. And apparently those always break. So, but I did get my 10 times, so I paid $2 for this on a Monday at Goodwill, and I took an offer at 20, so I got my times 10 sale. This little bag of Lord of the Rings figures, it just had that look. My Venn diagram of looked cool, looked well made, wasn't plasticky, just totally plasticky cheap. I paid, I think, $9 for this bag of toys at Goodwill, and I got my full price soon after listing, my full price of $50 plus shipping. When you see little bags of toys that are Lord of the Rings or other similar types of very successful movie franchises and books, it's always worth taking a look. So this little figure, I was not even familiar at all. I saw a picture in an estate sale, and this estate sale was actually just down the road from my house. So I was planning to go, hoping to get in early. And this particular company, they run things a little differently. I think the sale was supposed to start at 10. They were going to have a list out at 9. So I went immediately down about 9 o'clock to get my name on the list. And then I was going to come home, do a couple things, and then drive back because it was about 5 minutes from my house. And wouldn't you know it, I got down there was no list. They decided they were going to start early. I asked him how early, and he said, we'll start in a half hour. So I raced home, grabbed my bags and things, grabbed my camera, and when I got back about 12 minutes later, everyone was already inside shopping. So kind of a bummer deal that some companies do that, because I think they think that's a good thing. I think it's a bad thing for your customer. But as it was, when I walked into the garage, this little tote of toys was still in there. Now, I could see some He-Man figures, so that's what I thought the value was. Turns out there wasn't a ton of value in the He-Man stuff, but there were several of these Arco figures. This Fragacuda, and then there's also the two-headed serpent. I can't remember what that one's called. That one's actually worth more. But I was able to get a $30 offer for this first figure that I listed, and I only paid $20 for the entire tote. But Arco was new on my radar. This Ford factory stereo for I think it was for a F-150 pickup. I always look at these, and without any of the cords, not really easy to test. So usually, if I can't test it, but it looks in good condition, I sell it as working and tested. And honestly, if I get a return request or a complaint, I'm just going to refund everything and just take the hit. But in this case, this one looked pretty good. I noticed the cover was a little bit jacked up when I went to ship it, so or when I went to list it. So I was fine with taking a lower offer. I took $46. I think I had it listed for maybe double that. But there's always somebody looking to put the factory stereo back in their vehicle, and people usually take these out and put in some new stereo, and they just get rid of these. Now, one concern, and I got this at the free rummage sale, so I maybe had $1 into it. One thing that you do need to watch out for, I think, the only ones I know for sure are the Jeeps. Some of those stereos have a code tied to the vehicle, and it's almost impossible to get the stereo unhooked to the vehicle. I got one. I bought a nice factory Jeep stereo at a garage sale for about $5, and I ended up just tossing it because there was no way to confirm before I sold it that it wasn't already tied up. So look out for those. This one, the buyer got it, and they were super happy with it. This Walk Blaster, we must have gotten this at a garage sale 5 or 6 years ago. It sat in my storage forever. I moved it around a bunch of times and finally got tired of moving it, listed it, and sold it almost immediately. I took an offer at $60. I think we paid a couple of dollars for it at a garage sale. I looked around because there were some special movies, videos that went with this. This special, it was kind of like a step, but it was an odd exercise step. I ended up not even trying to get the movies. I just sold it without them. I spent a lot on this camera, mostly because I had to buy, I think, 2 or 3 different lots at this estate sale. There's a couple more items later on that you'll see that I also bought at the same estate sale. So frustrating when, I don't know if they do it on purpose or on accident, but like I had to buy the camera in one lot. I bought clearly the charger was in another lot. There was something else in another lot. Several of the cameras were like that, where I had to buy 2 or 3 lots to get the actual setup, which was fine. I paid roughly $80 for every, what I had to buy this camera for, but I knew I would probably get $200, and I did. I got a full price offer, and my buyer was happy with it. These are excellent cameras to get. This was one of the Wi-Fi Canon power shots, so one of the better ones. I buy a lot of things like juicers and blenders and food processors and bread machines, and I part them out. The Wolfgang Puck food processors, these are a beast. The motors are huge, and I think I had 2 of them. It took a really long time to sell some of the parts, the sellable parts. So I really wasn't interested in buying these two new ones that I got recently. But they had all the parts. And one of the motors actually I have listed. It's a red variant. But I only paid $2 for each of these full setups. And this lid sold at my full price of $15 plus shipping. And I only paid $2 for everything. And you're gonna see some, or maybe you already saw that. Maybe that was last video about the parts that I sold that came back. Sometimes I get stuff in like an online estate sale where there's just a bunch of stuff that they put together, and maybe I didn't care to get it, but it came with it. And this was one of those things. This Winegard, it's a vintage TV antenna, indoor antenna. It would sit on top of your TV, and you'd extend these arms and you'd rotate these knobs, and your picture would still be grainy and scratchy and bouncing around. But they looked pretty cool. And I had this one listed for a little while. I was almost to the point of getting tired of moving it around when I got an offer of $21 plus shipping, and I took it because I really didn't have anything in this. Some of the, I think you've probably heard me talk about these Epson PictureMate compact printers. So these, you see them everywhere if you're a reseller. A little printer, they had like a little cartridge that contained the ink. And so you would put the paper in, you'd put this cartridge in, and then your pictures would print out. Pretty cool. The problem is, all these printers, the problem is they stopped making the ink. So I recently sold an ink pack for one of these, and then the buyer wasn't happy because some of the pictures didn't come out right. But these packs are 5 or 6 years expired, so I don't even sell those anymore. But I do sell this. This is just the power cord for those. If you see the Epson A251B AC adapter, that's the power cord for that printer. And I've probably sold 5 or 6 of these power cords. I'm not sure if someone's buying them for their printer or something else, but I got a full price of $18 plus shipping. And this was an oddball purchase because this buyer had contacted me months ago and wanted to know if they could buy this and send it to their sister who was staying in a hotel in Miami. And it sounded like one of those far out stories. And I said, sure, as long as the address that you pay when you pay, as long as that's the address, that's where I'm going to ship it. So months go by, and then I get another question about this same person. They finally purchased it. I shipped it as fast as I could. They wanted to know if it could get there any faster, so I gave them an express option, and then immediately took the slow boat to China option. So it gets delivered to the hotel. Then I get a message, hey, how big was that? Because my sister's left, and we need to find out if they can send it somewhere else. So this may have been a huge scam. I may have uncovered a huge drug trade scam. I have no idea, but somehow there's packages are being shipped to Miami hotels and then forwarded on to Chile. So watch out for that scam. This Sony Walkman, it was really nice, but except it just wouldn't play tape, so obviously there was a dead belt inside it somewhere. Really cool looking. It used those gum stick batteries, and I actually bought a battery just to test this, and so I was able to charge the battery inside this with the charger, and the radio would play, but I never could get the tape to play. So I had it listed for a long time, and eventually, as this seems to happen sometimes, out of the blue, I get a full price $200 purchase plus shipping. And I was trying to remember, this was such an old buy. This one came in a online estate sale lot. I paid about $75, and there were several Sony Walkmans. You would think this would be the best one, but no. The in that box also was a Sony M50, and I'll show you a picture. I sold this about 2 years ago. I took, it says $875. I actually took an offer of $700. There's one listed out there now for about $1,600. But this was the M50 was so cool. It was a micro cassette, and then it also had the little micro cassette radio cassette. So you'd put that cassette in, and it would actually be a radio tuner. Really cool back in the day kind of thing. I really didn't want to sell that, but I was afraid at some point its belts would go bad, and then it would just be a non-working micro cassette recorder. But I had $75 into the whole lot, and I think I sold a few other ones over time, but these two were clearly the best. So not bad, $1,000 or nearly $1,000 in sales on a $75 purchase. I've sold several of these little Canon digital camcorders. They're not super valuable, but this one actually, I got a full price $80 offer to a local buyer. So I ended up doing a local pickup with this person. It was kind of a sad story because they were off flying out to their father's funeral and wanted to record the funeral. And I was like in a little bit of a panic because I just had one battery. I had no idea how long it would last. And when I met up with the guy, it turns out he's like a professional videographer. He just wanted this because it had a microphone jack in his big camera rig he didn't really want to take. So turns out he had planned ahead. He already was going to have some extra batteries and just have it plugged in anyway. I only paid $10 for this at an in-person estate sale. So really cool pickup, and there it goes, $80. I probably paid too much for this, but I thought having it in the box would bring a little more money. I paid $46 at an online estate sale, and I took an offer at $114 plus shipping. This went international, and fortunately, I was able to pack all this in a pretty good box, small enough that I didn't pay extra for shipping. I think that's maybe the third different one of those types of Disney park droids. They're the Galaxy's Edge. I haven't been there, but from what I gather, you can kind of construct a custom droid that way. I have an R2-D2 that was from there, and I have the remote for it. I've sold a couple of them without remotes. Weirdly, I had bought this at the online sale. I hadn't even picked it up yet. And then I was in Goodwill, and they had basically a nearly identical droid without the remote, but in the box. And Goodwill wanted $65 for it. Eventually, I saw the box empty. I saw the droid taken apart. I have no idea what they ended up getting for any of that. Knowing what I paid for this one, I might have paid $20 for it, but they price things in a weird way. They also priced these in a weird way. There were actually 4 of these filters on the shelf at Goodwill. I didn't get all 4 because one of them, the seal was all busted. The filter was clearly unused, but the seal was broken, and their price tag was right on the filter instead of on the plastic. So I passed on one of them, but I thought buying 3 would be okay. It looks like they sell in 4s, like the machine that these go into takes 4 of them. But I gambled that if I sold them individually, I'd still be able to sell them. I paid about $26, a little over $26 for all 3, and I took an offer on all 3 at $45 a piece. So pretty quick and good flip. Here's another item that I buy for $2 and then I part out, And bread machines, this is pretty much it. I've tried to sell some lids and some control panels. They never sell, so I just do the pan and paddle. And in this case, took a $20 offer and I paid $2 for it. So there's my times 10, my 10x sale. I was at a garage sale and found one of these little plug-in car, like cigarette lighter power adapters. I think these go to like coolers or something, maybe. Like people that have coolers that you can plug into your car, and then this allows you to plug them in at home. I paid a couple of dollars for this adapter, and I've sold these before. I knew I would make a little bit of money, and I got my full price of $18 plus shipping. So here's a juicer part. This particular juicer model, I think it's labeled on the juicer as a Power XL, but it's sort of also a Jack LaLanne and sort of also a Fusion juicer. I think they're all kind of the same. And this model was the SHL90. I've sold just about every part out of that thing. So I'm going to be on the lookout for the Power XL juicers because those seem to sell a little better than any of the other ones. I paid $2 for the whole juicer, and this was, I think, one of 3 parts I've sold so far. And I got my full price of $13 plus shipping. Here's an item I wish I hadn't bought. This was the second of 2 pretty high-priced vintage Matchbox sets that I bought. This one I paid $80 for. I took an offer at $120. It went international. Actually, the next item also went to the same buyer. I gotta watch myself when I'm buying stuff like this. Really overpaid on these items, both of these items. This Revell Shelby Mustang. So it's a model kit, but the body's metal. I paid $15 for this at Goodwill, and I took an offer at $25. I just wanted to get it out of here. I made a little bit on it. We don't, here at Real Boring Flips, Starbucks mugs are just too boring for us, so we really don't buy them to sell. This one we happened upon at a Goodwill in Ellensburg, Washington. We were going back, we go back and forth between the Seattle area and the Spokane area, so we go through Ellensburg regularly, and my wife picked this up. I think we paid $1 for it, and it looked brand new. Didn't have any appearance of being used. And this was the Balboa Park, so San Diego Park collectible cup. And we got our full price of $10 plus shipping. What's great, we just actually got back from another trip over there, and we took the Tesla this time. And so there's a charging hassle. But what we recognize this trip is that the Goodwill in Ellensburg is right next to a Tesla supercharger. So from now on, we will be stopping in Ellensburg, charging at the supercharger while we shop in Goodwill. These, I actually got two sets. I sold them both this month, I believe. This was the first one. I got these at the free rummage sale, pennies into these. I think there were 2 sets in a little plastic tote. This one I got my full price of $40 plus shipping. It just took me a while to get to them, figure out what they were and how to make them work. And so I tested them, listed them. This one was right out the chute, sold. So that completed the sales on our main store, but going forward, we're going to start incorporating sales on our sister store. We don't have very many items up there, but we're starting to fill that in. And we had actually some great sales in May. And to start off, to a repeat buyer, we sold several sets of these Chuck Missler expositional commentary cassettes. These are all broken down by books of the Bible, and our buyer had bought one set previously, and inquired with me about getting a discount on these additional sets. Now, I had put these on sale, so they were already on discount, but that was fine. In order to move some of these along, I agreed to discount her $5 per set, and she ended up buying 9 total sets. And then in addition, the shipping, she paid about almost $100 for shipping, so I was able to discount that by over half. So even with all the discounts, we still came out with a profit of about $165. Now, I say profit because all of these came to us free from a donation site. I actually had stopped by my post office where people drop stuff off, books and magazines and things, and there were several large totes full of these cassettes. And so they had sat there for a couple of days, so I was able to get all of these cassette sets, and these ones had the books and the complete cassettes. So we put these listings out first. I do have a bunch of sets of either incomplete, either I don't have the book, or I have the book but no cassettes, or maybe I don't have all the right cassettes. So we're going to figure out what to do with those others, maybe make a big bulk lot. But we probably have, counting the other 2 sets that we've sold, we're probably, well over $200 in profits. And then in addition, we had picked up this Bob Dylan book pretty recently at an estate sale. I think I paid $1 for it. I knew it wasn't going to be worth a ton, but it was worth my full asking price of $15 plus shipping to somebody out there. And so we sent that off.
And we're back. How was that? While you were doing that, I was really enjoying this coconut. And I guess once I'm done, I can bust this open and get some of the coconut milk. So we'll try that too. If you want, you can actually try and hold this up. Maybe you can scan this on your own. Can't stop that. One thing you'll notice on a lot of these What Sold videos is there's always something in there that was completely new to me. I had no idea going in when I bought the item that it was worth anything. Didn't know anything at the time of purchase. And those Arco figures were new to me. I've taken that information and I've tucked it back into my brain tool bag for reselling. And then I just, you just keep, as a reseller, you just keep building that tool bag. You learn a little bit here, you learn a little bit there, and then you tuck that in. So I mentioned, watching tons of YouTube videos. That's really what started me in that tool bag. I had some of that information, but the idea of building a knowledge base, because, as you can be out in the field and this doesn't work. There's no coverage, can't scan, can't search, can't any of that. So really great finds. Now we're going to hit the second half of May in this soon to be released video, and then we will going forward. We may continue doing split videos. We'll just have to see how it goes. I'm trying to keep these videos shorter, so appreciate your time watching this. This channel is a value for value model channel, meaning we hopefully are giving you value in the video, and you in return give us value back by watching the videos, liking, subscribing. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and sending comments, sharing the videos with people that you think might enjoy this kind of content. That's how we do it. We don't have a club to join. There's no plus membership. There's no extra Patreon to send in. I don't have a whole list of products that you can go buy on Amazon and I get a little chip of that. What I give you is all premium in the video, no extra costs, no extra expectations. So you'll never see that from us at Real Boring Flips. So thank you again for joining us today. Come back soon, and Enjoy some tap and sip. You really gotta get some of this. I can't stop sipping.